I really need a content strategy? This is a question I get asked so often from my students and from potential clients and my one-on-one clients too, because at first glance, it may not seem that you actually need a strategy, that you could just create content, but I'm here to share 3 ways you can get started with making your own strategy because it is that important. Hey there, everyone. Welcome. I am Yong. I am also known as Dr. Content by my students because I help you cure your content woes. Whether you're just getting started with content marketing and haven't created your first piece of content yet, or whether you are a prolific content creator and you're looking for ways now to maximize how you use your content and the platforms on which you can share it, we are here to support you. So, do you really need a content strategy? The answer is absolutely yes. Way back years ago when I was running my performing arts school, which I did for 17 years, I would get inspired to create a new work of choreography or new promotional material. And I wanted to be able to have the creative ability to do that. Whenever the inspiration hit, I wanted to be able to take that inspiration and create something. What happened more oftentimes than not was I needed to share something and I hadn't really created something. I had a show coming up perhaps, I needed to create a piece of work, but because I hadn't been inspired yet, it didn't get done. So it kind of went into the back burner. Then I'd have to go into a time where I'd have to kind of burn the midnight oil trying to get stuff done. And it was really, really stressful. And for years as a creator, I never wanted to stifle myself and create any sort of systems for myself, right? I thought it was going to stifle creativity. I thought it was going to put me in this box to where I wouldn't be able to create things when I felt compelled to create. When I felt compelled to create them. And what I discovered is the opposite is totally true. When I leaned heavily into creating systems for my business, I got a coach to help me with that because it was definitely not an area of genius by any stretch of the imagination. I needed someone there to push me and say, hey, ask questions. Did you create this system? Does your staff know how to do this in a systematic way? And when I leaned into this idea of systems, I discovered that it freed up so much more time for creativity, not only on my part, but the part of my staff, because they knew what the expectation was to do certain things. And this is no different than having a system or a strategy, right? A strategy is really just a way that you do things. And when it comes to content, I'm going to encourage you today and every day to sit down and think about it, because if you're hoping that the inspiration is going to come right before you do your next live, it may work for a while, but in the long run, it's going to really exhaust you and it's going to make content creation not so fun. So if you are joining live, let me know you're here, say hello. Let me know if you have any questions about content marketing or creating your content strategies, because I'm going to break down 3 things that you need to start working on your own strategy. Deal? Okay, the first thing you need to have is a goal. Now, I know lots of people talk about goal setting, but when it comes to your content, I want you to think about the end user or the end consumer. Who are you creating the content for and what is it meant to do? Is it meant to educate them? Is it meant to guide them to a certain process? Is it meant to help them get over a sticking point? There needs to be a goal of why you're creating the content. Yes, it's awesome to create content when you're feeling inspired. However, we need to have the end goal in mind or the end user in mind. Who is that end person and what is the result you want for them when they consume your content? For example, I'm here live on video with you today. I know that people who are watching this video or who will listen to it over on the podcast are creating content. It may be content for their own business, or they may be helping somebody else create content for their business. And if this idea of content or this word of content is confusing, content is really just any piece of marketing material or collateral or an asset, such as a social media post, a social media image, a podcast, an audio recording, a video, a blog post. Content can take any form, but the goal of content is really to get your audience, your tribe, to get to know, like, and trust you. And when they're there, we can guide them on a process to do more with us. At the end of today's video, I am going to share something special that I've created for those of you who are watching that I have on my schedule, and it's something new I'm excited to offer. Right? Because if you've been watching me live for any length of time, or you're a listener to the podcast, or you subscribe maybe to my YouTube channel, there's lots of ways that I put out content for all of you to help you with your content, right? My wheelhouse is content creation and content repurposing. That's really what I love to do. It's what I love to help my clients do. And I like to do it in a really systematic and automated way, because the more we can automate, the less direct input we have to put into creating our content and creating it in different ways and for different platforms, the less likely we are going to stand in our own way of content creation. So the first thing you need to do when you're thinking about your content strategy is, what do you want your end consumer to do with that content? Or once they've consumed it, what is that next step, right? We need to have a goal. Do you want to sell a program? Do you want them to subscribe to your podcast? Do you want them to book a discovery call? Do you want them to reach out to you in Messenger? What is it that you want that end user to do, right? That's the goal of the content or the piece. Number 2, this is really important because there's sort of, I guess, a myth that you have to be everywhere and on all platforms. And the short answer to this idea of being everywhere is yes, you want to be everywhere. However, you need to pick a primary means to communicate with your tribe. For me, that comes in the form of either video or audio. I always start with one of those two things. From there, I can take parts of those assets and turn them into other things. Again, an example is I'm here on video. Once this video is done, I have automations in place that will take out the audio portion. I can then put the audio portion over on my podcast. But again, I'm starting with one thing, video. And I know that I want to show up on video once a week, every week, for consistency's sake, and also because it helps me stay motivated to know that I'm going to show up every week at a certain time. Today happens to be Friday. I don't typically go live on Fridays. However, it's all an experiment right now. This idea of doing things on Friday, I kind of like it right now because it's getting us prepared to look forward to next week. We're recapping the week we've already had. So this may be the new day. I don't know. I'm experimenting. What I want to say about that is, though, you want to be consistent. If you go live, once this week and maybe next month you go live once, it's going to be really hard for your followers, for your tribe to know when to expect you to show up. So we want to make sure we are holding ourselves accountable by letting other people know we are going to be going live, right? And for me, again, it starts with either creating audio or video. Sometimes I feel inspired to write, so I'll start there. So the second step is pick a platform. What is your favorite way to create content, and how can you create it the most quickly? I love live video because it's real time. It's different than recording a video just by myself because I will go back and edit and re-record and restate things, and it takes me so much longer to do it when it's produced like that. If I come live to you, it's great because, again, I go live, I have automations in place to take out the audio so I can share it over on my podcast. I also have some automations that will chop up this video into different lengths and different dimensions so I can share them on places like Twitter or LinkedIn versus Instagram or IGTV, right? They all need kind of a different shape of video. And so I have automations in place for that as well. So as you're creating your content strategy, that yes, you absolutely need, because we want to have a plan of action rather than just showing up when we feel inspired to, because maybe you won't feel inspired to create something for a while. However, your people are really wanting something more consistent. Number one, what is the goal? What is the goal for the end user and the consumer? Number two, pick a platform. Decide if you're going to start with audio, video, or text, right? Choose one of those three things, because from those three pieces, or any one of those, we can create all the rest. Another example about this video. So this video, I just shared that it's going to be going through an automation that I have in place to help me extract the audio. I'm also then going to send the audio to a transcription service so I can get some text. From that text, that's going to become the basis for a blog post on my website. That text is also going to be the basis for some tweetables or some quotes that I can share across social. That same text will also be used to create some graphics for this video and this idea of content strategy and whether or not you need one for your business. Right? So that's how it works in my world. I start with one piece of content, a video. And from this one piece of content, I can create literally endless numbers of other types of content based on this one. So this video will be a longer video, so I can take little 1-minute snippets and share those across social media. So even if I created one piece of content every month, I still have enough content to share across all my platforms for the entire month. It's the coolest thing. And of course, that leads me to number 3, and it's the idea when you're creating your content strategy, you want to think about how you can repurpose that content. Again, another example is on my podcast. I had a series of podcasts all about raising creators, empowering our kids with cool techie skills like editing video and podcasts, showing up and sharing that with others, serving others and getting paid, right? That's what my kids did. That's a process that I took them through. I took those series of podcast episodes, I had them transcribed, and that is going to become book number 2, which is going to release next month in June, right? I've already done the heavy lifting. I've done the hard work. I'm just repackaging up my audio and video content and putting it in text form for a book. And that book will become an ebook. It'll become a print book, and you better believe it's going to become an audio book. This week, I interviewed Derek Depker, and he specializes in helping people create audiobooks. And I just got some brand new equipment so that I know when it comes time, I can create my own audiobooks using the skills I already have as a podcaster and a video creator, right? So it's all about repurposing. I think in the 80s or 90s, there was that whole thing about reduce, reuse, recycle. Same exact thing applies here. We just now call it something else. We call it repurposing, right? But basically, we're reducing the amount of work we have to do, because if we can start with one piece of content, like a video, and that can be the basis for our strategy for an entire month, that's pretty freaking awesome, right? We're going to reuse it. We can use it in its entirety, or we can break it up into other smaller pieces, or make a bigger piece like a book. And then recycle. We're going to keep resharing that with people across different platforms. So reduce, reuse, recycle. And when we think about our content strategy in the beginning, about how we can repurpose that content so that we can work so much smarter, so much less hard, right? There has to be less effort. I'm not saying it's effortless, but there's going to be less because you're creating less. You are just getting more bang for your buck every time you create a single piece of content. Deal? So let's recap. So to answer the question, do I need a strategy for my content? The answer is a definitive yes. Absolutely, you need a strategy. And this is something I love helping my private clients and my students to do. It's something that I kind of geek out on. I get to go in and explore a lot of different things and help my clients see more potential in what they're already creating and even what they already have. So yes, you need a content strategy. 3 ways to go about doing that is number 1, what is the end goal for every piece of content? What do you want the end consumer to do? There needs to be some sort of call to action or next step, right? From there, you're going to pick one platform. Do you want to start with video? Do you want to start with audio? Or do you want to start with text? Once you've decided that, then number 3 comes into play with repurposing. You can take that one piece of content and spin it and repackage it into a gift for another platform in another medium. So there you have it, my friends. 3 steps you can use today to help you create your own content strategy. Now, I shared with you at the beginning of this live that I have something special for you. So here's what I have. If you're wanting some help or some assistance or really want to see a bigger picture of what you can do with your content and how many more people you could potentially reach with the content you already have, I've opened up my calendar next week for 3 content mapping sessions. And next week, I'm actually giving you an incentive. I'm actually going to give you these sessions for only $97. They normally run for $197. If you are wanting to book a session with me, you can use the link that's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. I will also put it into the comments underneath this video once we wrap, because for $97, you and I are going to get on a Zoom call. We're going to see each other face to face. We're going to talk about your goals as a content creator, who your end consumer is going to be, and a way for you to map out, systematize, and even automate your content creation. Again, next week only. You need to book this before next Friday, and you can get your own one-on-one strategy session to map out your content strategy for only $97. Again, normally $197, but for 3 people, 3 amazing content creators, I'm going to give you this gift of hopping onto my schedule for next week to get your content strategy mapped out together with me. Are you ready? I'm excited to help you with your content strategy, because once you have a strategy in place, everything becomes so much easier. It becomes more effortless, and you're able to reach more people, which is the bottom line with this whole idea of having a strategy in the first place. We can actually impact more people's lives positively with what you do. So if you want to hop in on getting a strategy session to map out your content, definitely hop in, follow the link, get your strategy session booked. As soon as you purchase the strategy session, I will send you a link, another one, to book a time so that it works for both of us. But definitely don't let this opportunity pass you by if you're starting with no content or you have very little and you really just want someone to help you see the bigger picture. I'm your gal. Let's make it happen. All right, my friends, if you have questions after this video is wrapped up, whether you're watching live or on the replay, let me know. I'm excited to help you map out your content so you have a solid strategy to get more use out of every single piece of content you're spending a ton of time already creating. Let's just amplify that awesome content together. Cheers, my friends.